Welcome back to the Travel Budgetarian. If you watched episode 1, you now know something important. Travel isn't impossible. It's just changed. But today's episode is where a lot of people have their aha moment, because this is the mistake that quietly ruins trips, drains budgets, and makes people swear they'll never travel like that again. Most people think budget travel and cheap travel are the same thing. They're not. And if you've ever come home from a trip more exhausted than refreshed, frustrated by hidden costs, or wondering why the cheap option didn't feel cheap at all, this episode is for you. Understanding this difference is one of the biggest upgrades you can make as a traveler, especially in 2026. Cheap travel is obsessed with one thing: the lowest possible price on the booking screen. It doesn't ask how that price affects the rest of the trip. It just celebrates the deal. That ultra-cheap flight might leave at 2 a.m., land in a secondary airport far from the city, and require extra transport you didn't budget for. That Steel hotel might be far from everything, poorly reviewed, and surrounded by overpriced food options. On paper, it looks affordable. In real life, it's exhausting. Cheap travel often creates hidden costs, financial and emotional. You spend more time commuting, more money fixing inconveniences, and more energy just trying to make things work. And when things go wrong, there's usually no flexibility, no support, and no backup. This is why people say things like, "I tried budget travel and hated it," when what they actually tried was cheap travel. Cheap travel fails because it ignores the full picture. It treats every booking as a win or loss instead of part of a system. It doesn't value location, timing, rest, or experience. It assumes saving money up front is the same as saving money overall. And that assumption is almost always wrong. In 2026, cheap travel is harder than ever. With dynamic pricing, limited refunds, and packed tourist zones, the cheapest option often comes with the highest risk. One delay, one missed connection, or one bad location choice can wipe out all the money you thought you saved. Now here's the part that separates experienced travelers from frustrated ones. They don't book trips. They design systems. Most people open a flight search engine and type in the exact destination and exact dates they want. Then they stare at the price and decide whether travel is affordable or not. But experienced budget travelers work backwards. Instead of asking, "How cheap can I get this flight?" they ask, "How can the entire trip work better?" That shift changes everything. They start with flexibility. Even shifting a trip by 2 or 3 days can drop flight prices dramatically. Airlines adjust fares constantly based on demand patterns, And the difference between a Tuesday departure and a Saturday departure can sometimes be hundreds of dollars. Next comes location strategy. Smart travelers understand that where you stay determines how much you spend during the entire trip. A hotel that's $20 cheaper per night, but 40 minutes outside the city might seem like a deal. Until you start paying for taxis, trains, or ride shares multiple times a day. Budget travelers look for what I call movement efficiency. They want accommodations that allow them to walk to major attractions, access public transportation easily, and avoid unnecessary travel time. Because time, just like money, is part the travel budget. Another thing experienced travelers think about is energy. Cheap travel often ignores how exhausting certain itineraries are. A flight with 3 connections might save you $120, but if it destroys your first 2 days of the trip, was it really worth it? Budget travelers understand something powerful. Comfort in the right places often saves money elsewhere. A slightly better flight schedule means you arrive energized and able to explore immediately. A well-located hotel means you naturally discover affordable restaurants instead of overpriced tourist traps. And then there's something even more important. Experience value. The goal of travel isn't to win the cheapest booking award. The goal is to actually enjoy the destination. This is why 2 travelers can visit the same destination, spend roughly the same amount of money, and have completely different experiences. One feels stressed, rushed, and constantly fixing problems. The other feels relaxed, efficient, and fully immersed in the destination. The difference isn't income, it's strategy. Once you start seeing travel this way, you stop chasing deals and start designing trips that actually work. And that's when travel becomes sustainable. Not just financially, but emotionally. Because the goal isn't to travel once. The goal is to travel again, and again, and again. If this episode helped you rethink how you book your trips, hit like, subscribe to the Travel Budgetarian, and share this with someone who always brags about finding the cheapest deal. This channel is for travelers who want to travel more, not just spend less. I'll see you in the next episode.